It is why I am feeling the burn, and I hope you are. And it's why I support Bernie Sanders as the next president of the United States.
Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders held a town hall in Northridge to discuss affordable housing with Los Angeles residents.
And in a moment, we're going to be talking about things like rent control, which is pretty... not a radical idea to me, because I grew up in a rent control department, Brooklyn, New York.
Residents expressed their frustrations of increased rent prices in Los Angeles, which many say contributes to the homeless problem the city is facing.
Los Angeles being one of the richest cities in the world, it is shameful that 59,000 people call the streets their home.
When we talk about freedom, it is great that we have freedom of speech and freedom of religion, but what does freedom mean for somebody who is sleeping out on the streets? What does freedom mean if you're making $12 an hour and can't afford health care?
It's definitely called a crisis for a reason. It's grown exponentially up to 58,000 people experiencing homelessness, and oftentimes people will try to self-select one facet of what's created the crisis. So it's a housing or issue, it's a mental health issue, it's a rent control issue, and honestly, it's all of those mixed into one, which makes it extremely challenging.
Bernie Sanders took questions from Los Angeles residents on rent control housing and gentrification.
I was working for the regional center, North Los Angeles, for 2 years, and I watched caseworkers literally fight for housing and resources for the disability community. It's 25,000. It's probably rose since then.
Trump campaigned for president saying he was not going to cut Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. In fact, he has proposed in his budget massive cuts to Social Security, massive cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, and they're focusing on cuts to the disability community, if you can believe it.
Well, he stated it very clearly today. So, number one, he will overhaul the Housing and Urban Development Department, which now is cutting funds and pushing people on the streets. He will fight to fund that to ensure that we have federal funds that build new affordable housing. He will refund existing affordable housing so existing tenants are not displaced from their subsidized homes. What we're seeing here on a national basis is pretty devastating. There's just a drawback on any type of support. And we can't fix it alone on a local level or a state level. We need to be in partnership with the federal government. And the federal government needs to have our back and have the commitment to ensure that everybody in this country has a roof over their heads. And I think Bernie Sanders will do that.
With rent prices going up for tenants and the increasing number of people living on the streets, residents wanted their voices heard in today's town hall. I'm Jorge Ventura with the Ventura Report.